The Boston Sauce Show.
Boston and Sauce Show.
Boston and Sauce Show.
Boston and Sauce Show. Here we go.
What up? What up? What up, Thou? What's going on, Big Ragu?
Hey, finally back. The dynamic duo is back on. Well, we're coming. We're here Saturday, but it's going to be an every Saturday thing from this point going forward. So yeah, we are back, baby. We are back. How you doing, DJ?
Yeah, we are back. I'm doing great, man. As closer we get to college football coming back, the food gets better, the drinks taste better. I don't get as much sleep because I stay up a long time, but everything changes, man, drastically when football season comes, and we're going through the change right now. We're just tippy-toeing away from really kicking off some real college football. I'm excited. I'm overwhelmed. We got to break down all these different conferences. We started today with the SEC. Just a lot. It's a lot, going into it. From being in the business for a while, I learned that if you try to get ahead of it, is the best comfortable way to get against it. And every time, the time catches up. So we finally here. I'm happy that we're here, and we're gonna do some things, right, Big Ragu?
That's it, man. We're gonna wet our beak today with the SEC. I guess you want to call it the king of the conferences. Everybody talks about what the best conference is. So, I mean, there's no doubt right now that, ultra talent in the SEC and the other conferences are changing, but there's a lot of changes going on. We'll talk about those later. But today, the focus is on the SEC.
SEC. Well, I'm excited to do some SEC. Shout out to my man Marley. We go back and forth on the SEC each year, and you'll probably see a little bit of that later on. But I found some new websites and stuff in my SEC search that come together, and I'm starting to get some real good information over there because just blindly looking into it, I thought it was just Alabama's year. If Saban doesn't do nothing by now, then they're going to be talking retirement and all this kind of stuff. But after going through it thoroughly, I said, wow, this is one of the most competitive SEC conferences that we had going. Like each side, the talent goes like to the 4 or 5 spot, in each, it's only 7 each one, but the talent is going to like 4 and 5 spots of who could take it all. So let's get into some of that, man. I don't know if that's the part you read, but that's the part I got out of it at the end of the day. So
yeah, I mean, the biggest changes, of course, since we've done the show a few years back, is the NIL thing, and then of course the transfer portal has kind of changed too. So those two main dynamics have kind of changed the whole recruiting aspects and kind of, I would say, evened out the talent field. But it all comes to dollars and cents, in the alumni and the schools that's got that, they're going to spend the money. But regardless, things have changed for sure.
Oh yeah, that's another show. You have to catch us in some of our live shows when we're hanging out, and we could just go into that kind of stuff. But yeah, I could do a whole show on that kind of stuff that's going on right now. But let's go on and jump into it, man. We have always been about the meat and potatoes, so we're gonna jump right into the meat and potatoes. Y'all sit back, take notes, do whatever you have to, have fun. And, just my disclaimer coming into this is we're not your ordinary sports talk show. We talk betting, we talk angles for betting, we talk those type of things. So if we don't hear precisely what you want to hear, just listen for the key words, because it's going to be some money made off this show. You ready to take off, Big Ragu?
Let's roll, baby.
Let's hit the road. First off, yes. Alabama. This is everybody always want to know about Alabama, but what I kind of found is some of the under teams are a lot more to find out about them. Mostly the big teams like Georgia and Alabama, they're stacked. So let's take a deep dive into it real quick. I'll break us off with the beginning. We got Nick Saban right here. He's in the 17th year right here at Alabama. He's returning 5 on offense, 5 on defense. He was 11-2 last year and 6-2 in conference, which is not something that Saban is really into. You got any notes on Saban for this year, Big Ragu?
Oh man, what can you say about Saban? Just like I kind of touched on a little bit, but yeah, I mean his record speaks for itself. I mean, this team, he's coached, he's been in it every year, for the past, he's been there 17 years. Probably the last 10 years have been spectacular, but just last year they had a 2-loss season, and I think he's a little hungry this year.
Yeah, I think he has to be a little bit hungry this year. And jumping into the offense, he has the talent to prove it. I'm not too sold at the quarterback spot with Tyler Buchner, but from what I've further looked into it, they're not too sold on it as well. But so it is a quarterback race over there. Although Tyler Buchner probably has the edge with the new offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, coming over from Notre Dame. So those two connecting, and that's been a connection that I've seen in the transfer portal that actually works. When you have an offensive coordinator or a coach or somebody who's bringing in the guys he has somewhere else that already knows his system, and I guess it's like a peer-to-peer thing because they already know the system. It's easy for them to teach it to the guys that are there, and they pick up pretty good. So that could have some success. But personally, Notre Dame fan that I am, I don't believe in Tyler Buchner. I kind of consider him not tall enough, but apparently he's 6'2", but he doesn't look like that on the field. But I mean, he's just not a great decision maker, not the strongest on it ever. He got a big heart, though. I do give that dude that. He got a big heart. But that's where I see it from the quarterback perspective. You see anything on the offense, Big Ragu?
Well, here's my thought about the quarterbacks for Alabama. Now, I don't have all the names in front of me. Obviously, we know they've produced some Heisman-winning trophy quarterbacks, with Young and Tua. But think of it this way. Saban has won some national championships with some under par quarterbacks. I don't have to go through the list. I know Sims and I want to say maybe McCarron, but anyways, he doesn't need the 4-star, 5-star quarterback. He needs just a guy that, like you like to talk about, plug into their system. Now they are going to be strong up front, and they got a hell of a DB on that squad too that I'll talk about later. But the quarterback position, I don't think it is the bread and butter of the team. But like we say, in college football, we plug these kids into the system. And I don't want to say game manager, but, if he plugs into the system and they adjust and coach the kid to their style of play, then I think he'll be okay. As long as the turnovers don't come, I think everything else will take care of itself for Alabama.
I like it. And interestingly, I've seen about Alabama is they bring in only 5 transfers. And Alabama and Georgia, they chose this year to pick up players only in key spots for the transfer portal. They're not out there trying to rape the transfer portal like some other coaches, but that's the thing that we're going to see. And we've seen it work in the transfer portal, mostly when guys come from well-established teams, let's say like Alabama, and go over to Georgia and stuff like that. It has a great outcome. So he's down only 5 transfers on this team, but he's already stacked with returning experience on offense. So in all the skill positions, Jason McClendon, Ja'Cory Brooks, top-notch players that are going to be out there, getting there. Last year they were number 3 in points per game. They ran the ball. They were number 30 rushing and number 17 passing. So it's not that they just lost some key games last year that didn't get them to where they wanted to be. But you said you had something on the defense. Let's switch over to defense.
Yeah.
And the defense last year, points per game, number 12. Rushing, they were number 40. And in the past, they were number 16. It's always great when you have a good pass defense. That helps a lot in college football. So they are top ranked in the spots they need to be ranked in, and they're bringing in a second year, more experience and some talent in some areas. But go ahead, Big Ragu.
Yeah, well, the defense, we've known that Alabama's had great defenses for years and years and years. We kind of think that Georgia's maybe clipped them over the top just a little bit here, but they're still Alabama. And you said a great thing with the transfer portal. you've had basically a lot of teams have outperformed them in that category. But you know why? And if you look at Georgia too, we'll talk about that later. They didn't need it. They didn't need to go out and grab these players. They already have talent, depth. So they're all set. And we know LSU's DBU, but they got a kid. When we get across these teams, and I've got like 3 kids I want to highlight that are like all SEC second team, not first team, but second team. And then there's three positions I'm going to talk about it. And this is one of them here. Nathaniel Watson, his name is. He played. He was a top prospect in the state of Alabama. He's a two-way player. Played on both sides of the ball, but then he settled in in the DB role for Saban. And this is a kid that's going to be playing on Sundays. He's all over the field. He does punt returns. I think against it was La Tech though. I think he had like over 300 yards that game. But he's a guy. He's an impact player. So I want you to watch out for this kid during the season. He's had some big games for them, and I think he's going to step up in that top role in the back in the secondary for Bama this year. But I think Bama will be strong up front. I think linebacker wise they'll be solid, and with this kid here, he's going to be a playmaker for them. You know how these DBs, they return punts, and they're big playmakers, and I think he's one of them. So he might be a big difference maker in a spot for Bama this year.
That's what's up. You said you had another one on this team?
No, just whenever I come across.
Just one on that one? Oh, okay.
I got 3 players. But, Nathaniel Watson, he was, like I said, he was Mr. Football for Alabama. And this year, I think he was a true freshman. And this kid's played every year since he's been in there. So I think, I think he's a 5th-year senior this year because of COVID too. I think, but I don't think I think he redshirted he did redshirt as a freshman 2nd year. So, but anyways, so he's a 5th-year senior. We'll see some 6th-year seniors too because he's still got that COVID, season to account for. So, but he's a 5th-year senior.
Yeah, that's what's up. And let's take a look at first. Let's take a look at the win total right here for Alabama this year. They got them at 10. This is my pre-rankings. I said well over 10 first looking at it. Now I think I don't know. We could get maybe 2, possibly 3 losses out of Alabama, considering the strength of some of the other teams and the schedule they got to play. Let's take a look at that schedule, as a matter of fact. So this schedule right here, y'all tell me in the chat what y'all think about this. Middle Tennessee, Texas, then South Florida, Ole Miss. I say that most of those are all winnable games, but we can't forget that Texas almost flipped Alabama last year, so it'll be tough going into that in game 2. Because game 2, everything is settling in and all that kind of stuff, so they can still making mistakes. Special teams, all that stuff comes into play. So Texas definitely got an opportunity to attack Alabama. This Ole Miss team, we'll talk about them later, but they got some potential over there at Ole Miss. We can't even count out Texas A&M, and they're at Texas A&M this year. Jimbo's returning a lot of guys over there. You cannot look past him. You can't look past Arkansas, who is Sam Pittman over there, who's developing that team. And you got Jefferson's coming back over there. So you can't deny that. You can't deny Tennessee because, they're doing big things over there in Tennessee, and they can score a lot of points. So depending on their soft spots, they could be manipulated by Tennessee. Then you got LSU, who beat them last year, and Brian Kelly, who, he's no stranger to Nick Saban. He had to practice for him all his time at Notre Dame. He failed, and now he has the players that may be able to make a difference. And then basically Kentucky has a little potential, believe it or not. And then they got 2 easy games. So I think there's a lot of potential targets in there, and I think they get hit at least 2 times somewhere in that schedule. What you think, Big Red?
Yeah, I think two is a possibility. I'm going to say more than likely 1. But yeah, Middle Tennessee and the Texas game, they should have lost that game, but they come back and they, I don't know how they won that game, but they did. Texas kind of gave them that one on a silver platter, but good game. I think it's going to be another grinded out type game. He's playing some of his ex. The thing about Saban, the coaching tree goes deep, and there's a few of these coaches he's going to be coming up against again here. But the key losses last year were the LSU and the Tennessee, and this year they get to that's a revenge game for them. So that game is circled, and definitely the game that's circled is the LSU game, and they're both at home this year. So that's going to be the key. They get over the hump there, then I can see them still winning. Pulling out the SEC West with one loss. 2 losses, LSU is going to be tough to beat because I think LSU, we haven't talked about them yet, but we'll talk about them later. But yeah, 2 losses. I can see 2 losses, possibly maybe even 1 loss here. But could 3 happen? Sure. I mean, it's college. It's an emotional type game with these youngsters. But I think Saban will have them ready to roll this year, and I think this team, I'm not going to say it's better than last year's, but I think they won't make a lot of the same mistakes that they made last year. I mean, they lost 2 games last year, a total of 4 points. They lost a 1-point game. They lost, what was it, the 1-point game with Texas, and then they had the LSU game, right? Yeah. So, but anyways, I think those are total, and they lost that game by 3. So we'll see what happens. But they lost the Tennessee game. They lost at Knoxville. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. They said last year, but I think that's a misprint.
No, I think it was last year. That's when they took down the goalpost and threw it in the river.
Yeah. So how many games they lose last year? They lose 2 or 3.
Last year LSU lost 3, I believe.
3. Okay. But anyways, yeah, that's when Tennessee took the goalpost down over there. So now they got to avenge that loss. But anyways, we'll see what we come up with this year.
Oh no, they lost 2 last. They lost 2 last year. 2. So yeah, they made it out of the Texas game.
Yeah, that's
what
it was.
Beat by Tennessee, and then
I got Texas in my head as they lost that game. Yeah, they lost 2 games by 4 points. They lost the overtime game, and then they lost the 1-point game. So
yeah, let me give a quick shout out to our chat. My man Dami Gunn, Paco, Nizzle, David from San Diego. They all in the chat chopping it up. Good morning, guys. I'm sorry, we are doing a preview, so I'm not all the way able to pay attention to the chat. So, but I will check in with y'all. I can't really comment on some of the comments that you guys got, but we'll be doing more shows, regular Boston Sauce stuff. We'll definitely be ready to answer your questions and all that stuff in the chat. But we're going to keep it moving along because this is a preview. These things can get long. We've been doing this for a while. We know how this goes. So me and Big Ragu, we always stay on beat with this. So let's keep it going into our next team. You ready to take off, Big Ragu?
Let's go, brother.
Hey, clear the runway. We out of here. We made it to Baton Rouge over here in Louisiana. One of my favorite places to go to eat for sure. But we talking football today, and Brian Kelly, everybody knows a coach of mine that I still hold a spot for Brian Kelly. Some of my Notre Dame people, they hate this guy, but I think he's a very practical coach, and he's deliberate in what he does, and he has a lot to offer to the game. But let's jump right into Kelly, and I'm gonna let you talk about it first after I go through his stats right here. So Brian Kelly was 10-4 last year, 6-2 in the conference, first time in, over there with LSU. This is his second year here. It's considered his third too because coaching the bowl game or something like that. I can't see that, but anyways, he's returning to 8 on offense and 7 on defense. This year, what you think about Brian Kelly over here? What he's doing at LSU?
He's definitely a first-year impact coach. I think I want to say he was almost. Well, he was. I thought he was a little ahead of schedule in my book, but I didn't realize how quick he was going to get that program up and going. Because they were right there. You know what I mean? They took the West down, and so there's nowhere to go. I don't want to say but down, but the expectation levels, anything less than what he did last year would almost be like a failure in my book, because of what he's done so quickly. But I mean, like you say, he's a quality guy and disciplinarian, and he's got ultra talent. He's got some great line play. He's got key offensive weapons. He's DBs all over the place, and probably the biggest letdown for them was that first loss that they took to FSU. And guess who they get to open up against this year again? FSU. So they're going to pick up right where they left off, and I think he's got the pieces there to do it with. Especially, arguably he's got the best quarterback in the league with in the SEC with Jaden Daniels. So I think he's a Heisman candidate. So it's going to be real interesting what goes on with this team this year. So I think they'll do very well in the conference, and I think they'll compete in all the big games. They'll be right there. I think Kelly had them ready.
Awesome. He's a coach of preparation, big time. Bill Belichick is one of his mentors, so he's really into preparation, and that always helps. So I knew he had a shot at getting some wins in the SEC his first year in there, but it wasn't like he got a bag of bums. He did what he had to do to get them right. But let's go into also this year he brings in 13 transfer players. So he plug and played last year a little bit. He plugged and played again this year. But this year he went and got Diggs, his running back from Notre Dame. And he already has a big-time tight end over there, Mason Taylor. And also, like you spoke before, Jaden Daniels, the quarterback. And this young guy should be able to mature some this year. All the other spots, the wide receiver position, the line, Kelly's an O-line guy. They're all more experienced this year with Kelly. And I feel like Jaden Daniels kind of bought into Kelly. And most of his players that he can keep bought into him, they do very well. But how long they stay bought into Kelly, I don't know how long. They say he's kind of a mean guy. So I don't know how long those guys stay committed to Kelly. But when they do commit, they do well. Jaden Daniels kind of made it out of last year, probably adjusting to the playbook and all that stuff, just out of pure talent. But, Jaden's going to have to use his arm a little more because Tommy Rees, he likes to run the ball, but he likes to set it up for the big pass. He likes using that tight end. So we're going to see a lot of tight end play over there with LSU. Just kind of the same stuff we've seen in Notre Dame as well, double tight ends, large sets, some heavy running, some power running, all those things are going to be a part of it. I don't know what benefit Daniel's feet is going to be this year. The blockers should be better. He should be able to actually plant and throw the ball. So they're not going to be expecting him to do all those things, but he still has the capability to do it. So the ceiling is high for LSU on offense, big time.
He's a good ace in the hole to have, because he can make the plays with his feet if he has to. So, and I know that Kelly. I mean, Kelly better than I do, but I know, he definitely likes to. He's more of a traditional type coach. He likes to play off the run a little bit too. So I don't think he's not an air raid type of coach. So, and I know they lost one of their key running backs last year, so that's why, like you said, he brought in the back from Notre Dame, and I don't know if he's going to fill the role. But what do you think about the running back he brought in?
Diggs was very good. He's not so much of a power back. He's a speed guy with a big line that he got over there. He should do well. All we see with Kelly, I'm going to go back to what Kelly said about, he's in a place where he can recruit the guys that, he need or whatever. He didn't have that freedom at Notre Dame. And we're going to see what the benefits of that is. Now you got a guy like Diggs who did great at Notre Dame, come over to maybe even a bigger line and, some other big key features along them. So in all actuality, he should do really well. But they're going to be by committee as well. They still haven't. It wasn't like the guys that they had last year were no good, but they just brought him along with Tommy Rees. That's another one. Together, them two can make a difference. So let's jump into the defense real quick. And last year they were 31 in points per game. 49 protecting against the run and 45 against the pass. Some mid-range right there. In order to win and be successful like Kelly want to be, you got to get those numbers up as well. But this year he went and got some transfer talent along with some experience. The secondary could be like bang or bust. They definitely have the talent, but putting it together, I don't know how well it's going to work right there, but that's how I see it for the defense at LSU. You took a look at the defense, Big Ragu?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we know them as DBU, but the last 2 years they were saying that that they've been kind of down numbers for them, and they have one returning starter, and they said that they think the portal guys that are coming in, the transfers, are majorly talented kids. I won't break through all the names and whatnot, but they expect the defensive backs to be, improved immensely here. Linebackers, they're pretty solid across the board. They've done well there, and what I like is their defensive line is always really, really good. So I think defensively, I think they should shore things up, and I think we get a lot of the same production with the improvement on the DB side. So I think that bodes well for them on the defense. I don't think they have Georgia or Bama type numbers, but I think they're probably, even though Bama's numbers last year weren't spectacular on defense, that was probably an Achilles heel for them, in a lot of spots. But I think both of them, Bama and LSU, are going to gain on the defensive side this year.
Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. It ain't Tommy Reese that came over with him. It's Matt Dunbar. Dunbrick was with Kelly at Cincinnati and at Notre Dame, and now he's over here as offensive coordinator along with Kelly. But Kelly's always been, even when he was at Cincinnati, he was strong run,
right,
tight end plays, same game everywhere he went. Taking a look at the schedule real quick. Interesting thing about the schedule is after October 7th, you'll see that they only have one away game, and that's against Alabama. But all of the rest of those games after October 7th are at home. But like we said, they do open up to Florida State, which would be tough. Every game could definitely be tricky for LSU because something about as much preparation and everything that Kelly shows, his consistency to hold a lead or, fend people off from, like, he puts together a great, part, and he always seems to have to come back or something later. And that's just one of the great inconsistencies about him. So every time he plays any team, the other team at some point will have a chance to turn the tables on him. He's not the guy to just go blow everybody out.
Yeah. So what do you think about the schedule? I mean, if you look at it, it's very top heavy on the road early on. So out of the first 6 games, 4 of them are on the road, and then they got 2 at home. Then they go to Bama, and then they got 3 at home. So they should. I think the schedule sets up pretty good for them as far as that goes. And some Mississippi State, they'll be down a little bit. Mississippi, Missouri. Yeah, I mean, if they get by Florida State, then they could be easily looking at an undefeated season going into Alabama, November 4th. Or I mean, there's a couple tough spots in there. Arkansas could be tough. They're like always a juggernaut type team. And then it's never really easy to win all your games in the SEC. So, but the teams that are well stacked and are expected to win, they usually do well. But I think I could see them being undefeated going to see Alabama. Even though I'm an FSU guy, that's going to be a tough game for FSU. But we'll see what happens coming out of that one.
Well, I'll tell you now, I'm leading LSU. I haven't looked at the number at it. Kelly did great coaching against the ACC teams when they had to play a lot of ACC teams. So only the ones that get Kelly is the ones that, like I said, his consistency doesn't hold. It was the Boston colleges and those type of teams that really put him to the test. So when he's prepared for a good team, he does well, and he's definitely going to be prepared for Florida State. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards a first half bet on the LSU and probably leave the second half alone because they're going to try to make magic. They got to make magic to keep this thing going. But I don't have any more notes on LSU. You ready to go over to the next one? Take a trip up out of here, Big Ragu?
Let's roll.
Let's get up out of here and let's see where we're going next. Next, we go to let's go to Texas. Now this goes right into what we were talking about before camera. That stat about player ratings, returning player ratings, and this one's gonna go off the chart. I haven't seen too many of these this year, but Jimbo Fisher gets back 10 on offense and 10 on defense. So that's a big one right there. So let's go into big old Jimbo Fisher. What you think about Jimbo Fisher as a coach in his position right here at Florida? I mean, at Texas A&M, Big Red.
Yeah, well, he's the one who got the NIL ball rolling pretty hard. Saban was bitching about it, but not this year. Alabama had the number one recruiting class this year, but the year before, Jimbo Fisher because of NIL. But yeah, he's pretty savvy. He's a great quarterbacks coach, top notch in my book. And yeah, I mean he always has a good game plan. And as far as a coach, I don't like what he did when he left, the way he bailed out in Florida State. But coaching wise, yeah, I think he's a top 5 coach in college for sure. Sometimes it doesn't equate to W's on the field for him all the time. He's kind of a quirky guy when it comes to that. But recruiting wise and coaching, talent wise, he knows how to put a team together. So yeah, he's definitely a top 5 coach in my book.
Yeah, well, he's definitely stepping out of his character this year as he brings in Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, Bobby Petrino, yeah,
and take over the play calling. And that's one of the things I've seen in Brian Kelly's career. He had that problem early on, trying to be too involved with the offense and the defense, and he learned to assign the job to the right people. And a guy like Bobby Petrino coming in as offensive coordinator, we talked about that too. Like, the offensive coordinators are making nice money as well. So it's just as important. A lot of ex-head coaches and stuff will step down just to be able to be with the offensive coordinators and be involved in stuff like this. Jimbo Fisher, he's been here 6 years. He's 39-21, 25-7 at home. But he is 7-13 on the road, so we got to watch him on the road. Returning 10 on offense, 10 on defense, and then he even jumps in the portal and grabs 8 more. So he's doing a lot over here this year. I mean, if you want to give right off top, if you want to claim a dark horse in the SEC, it's got to be Texas A&M this year. They're getting back. Or they're getting Connor Wigman. That's their new quarterback. Or it was his second year there. But even though he's a second-year guy, it is a quarterback battle over there right now. And interesting thing about this kid is that he's one of those baseball QBs. And but he was a shortstop. He wasn't a pitcher. So he's a little athletic as well. So he leads right now. He'll probably get the job, but it's up for grabs for quarterback.
Yeah, that was a struggle for them last year at QB. So, and then bringing Petrino on board, to kind of I don't want to say jumpstart the offense, but just kind of let Jimbo make other decisions and be involved and kind of sometimes if you step away and look back in a little bit, it's easier to make. You think with a clearer head, you make better decisions. So maybe that wasn't it. Maybe he's just kind of trying, like you say, something different this year, bringing him in. And, I mean, he's had great success, running offenses in the past. But I could see a big improvement in that regard there. But, when Kellen Mond left, and, even he had his struggles when he was their starting quarterback. But I think this year should be a different scenario, a better output for them at quarterback for sure.
Absolutely. Not to mention Wedgman. I can't pronounce his name all the way. I'll get better as the season goes. But this guy did well as a freshman. No turnovers. So that's a lot of good offensive coordinators. If they could just keep the guy not turning over the ball, they can make him a superstar with the most minimumist throws he has to do. But not turning over the ball is huge at quarterback. Basically, the rest of the offense, they're just stacked with experience. They're stacked with talent. In the small spots where they didn't have talent, he went and put talent there. Not to mention last year they were 97 points per game, but points per game can be outweighed. You know, it's a matter if you win or lose, not by how many points. Rushing against they were 70, which is not great, but passing they were number 2. So they're gonna continue to throw the ball, and hopefully they develop the run a lot more. And the offensive line is definitely back. Hopefully the maturity of the line makes a difference for them as well. You got any notes on the offense over here at Texas A&M, Big Regular?
Just, overall, like I was talking about with the NIL, they had the number 1 recruiting class the year before last. So this is kind of like the year where they're going to start implementing a lot of those players. And that's on both sides of the ball, not just the offense. So maybe not this year, but next year, look out for Texas A&M. But they'll still be dangerous this year. But next year, they'll be, they're going to be hitting their stride next year. But this year is when they, with the new offensive coordinator and then figuring things out in the quarterback position and the talent coming on, there'll be somebody to reckon with next year. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a bowl team this year for sure, but they'll probably be like mid-pack type offense. I don't look for big offensive numbers from this year, but I definitely improvement over last year.
Well, I think that it's all going to come down to, and this happens to a lot of teams with 10 returning on both sides, is staying healthy. Like, you got so many good guys out there going at each other. If they can stay healthy and with all this experience, then it'll help them in the long run. But they got to stay healthy on the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, they're full of talent at every position, and now they have the experience to go with it. Jumping into the defense, and there's not much I can say about the defense. Last year, they were number 33 points per game. They couldn't control the run. In order to be an elite team, you got to control the run. So hopefully some of the talent that he brought in should help him. He's bringing back the same DC, DJ Durkin. So, that should work well for him in putting the system. And then there's not much else you can say. The secondary should be elite this year. And they had an addition of Tony Grimes from North Carolina. And the front 7 is going to be solid as well. They got some big guys up there, some fast guys. They are fit to do it. If they can do it, like you said, Big Ragu, it has the sauce came all the way together yet? I don't know. It might be premature, but, it's going to make it tough next year when some of those guys are gone and you have to replace those guys with other guys. So while you got the 10, you got to kind of benefit on it, or at least make a good shot at trying to contend or be that dark horse.
Yeah. I mean, the defense was good last year. I mean, 365 yards a game, right? And what they said, 21. Did you say how many points per game? I got 20.
Well, I didn't say how many. I said
20,
that they were
around
ranked number 33.
22 points a game. I mean, so and they lost some games last year too. So they really had their offensive struggles, but I don't think the defense was one of them. And I think they'll be right back. They did lose the defensive coordinator. What's his name? Craig Elko, I think. He left, and so he's an ex guy too. I don't know where he went to, but he's gone. So we'll see. Who's their DC now? Do you know? You got that handy?
DJ Durkins.
Oh, Durkin. Okay, from Maryland, right?
Yeah, DJ Durkins.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that was a controversial hire after that again, right? So they got him. So yeah, I mean they're trying to do things a little differently this year, but hopefully things pan out for him. Getting his story straightened out, and and he's not the only guy controversial coach that made a big comeback this year too. So we'll talk about them a little bit later. But yeah, I mean they got top level coaches, top level talent. It's just a matter of gelling this, putting this team back together as far as getting them all on the same page. With these new OCs, DCs, and game plan. Talent's there. They're young. They're going to work into things.
Yes. And looking at their schedule, they got a tough one all in a row. They got to go through BYU, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama, and also they got to play at Florida. So they got their work cut out for them. But like I said, or we talked about before, they're equipped to do it, and I think they could go an easy 4-0 right here. New Mexico, Miami, Monroe, and Auburn. If they're any type of good like they're supposed to be, they should definitely go 4-0 before reaching Bama.
And then you start betting against them after that because they'll be over. You know, they'll have. I would say they would have a little bit of betting value that, you know, a little bit of, I want to call it a false narrative, but you know how things go when you think you got somebody figured out. And we see it all the time with the cupcake schedules early on. You know, we see inflated numbers, we see this, you know, then reality sets in after about week 5 or 6 with some of these teams that are quite not championship level teams, but they're bowl eligible. They're, you know, 2/3 of the way to bowl eligibility right there. And then, you know, they got to pick up a couple games so they'll probably break 500, you know. But yeah, Arkansas, Alabama, and Tennessee, that's a tough stretch right there.
Yeah. I had the wrong note out right there. It's for them. It's Arkansas, Alabama.
Yeah, you had
Tennessee,
the right graphic when you were reading it. But yeah. Then when you start reading, you figure it out.
And LSU, they got to play in a row, so they got their work cut out over there.
Oh, at the end of the season, at LSU,
Yeah, so I had them under 7.5 right here for the year, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll know after they go 4-0. We'll know if they're gonna go past that 7.5 or not. But like I said, health is a big issue, and when you take future guys, you mostly want to take the unders that you like because of health. Because if that quarterback goes out or something, it's gonna lean towards your bet, not the other way. Hopefully,
that's an intriguing number, that 7.5. Because in reality, I mean, you know, they beat Abilene Christian, let's say, right? And they can get. I think Mississippi State's going to have a little bit of a down year this year, so that's 6. So they got to beat Arkansas, South Carolina, and they got to win 2 out of 3 of those. That's going to be tough. South Carolina,
you know those books. They always hit the number, right?
They dangle it, man. They dangle it.
Yeah, they dangle it. But like I said, if you're gonna bet it, you take the under because health counts against them. I mean, if you take the over and considering health, something goes down, Wegman doesn't come out to be the player he's supposed to be or something, then you're done. But let's go and take another trip somewhere else. It's about that time. We're going on a decent pace, so we should be out of here. Who knows when, but we're having fun. We're talking college football, y'all.
Where's my boy G Martinez? Shoo-wee!
Oh yeah, you yelled that one all the last year. I remember.
Let's roll.
And we got my man Sam Pittman in here. Last year he was 7-6 season, went 3-5 in the conference, but it looks a lot worse than it really was because they really competed at a high level last year, and he's in that sweet spot that I like. The 4th-year coach coming in, but I guess he didn't do his homework, so he's only getting back 4 on offense, 6 on defense. But the 4 that he's getting on offense is great because one is a great quarterback with the potential to maybe win a Heisman or something. If he develops any more than he was last year, I kind of considered Jefferson as a disappointment. But coming into this year, if he's able to expand and learn and get better and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, he may be able to he has the likeness to compete for a Heisman, so he could make it into that conversation at some point in time. He brings in 11 transfers. Maybe that'll offset, what he got going on over there, depending on the quality of the transfers that he bring in. But he's been doing decent, 19-17 at it says Mississippi, but it's Arkansas. But 12-7 at home, that means a lot. That keeps your job. 4-9 away, got to prepare better on the road. So let's jump into his offense. I already gave up everything about it. But yes, KJ Jefferson is returning. Last year, points per game, ranked number 30. At rushing, because of KJ Jefferson's big numbers he puts up running the ball around the field, they were number 5. And passing, they were number 75. And passing is something that he's going to have to learn how to do a little bit better this year. What do you think about this offense, Big Ragu?
Well, I know Kendall Briles. He's been kicked. I don't know. That guy, man, every time he lands somewhere, he winds up packing his bag, goes somewhere else. But, man, they were exciting offense to watch with Jefferson last year. So, Dan Anus is now the new OC. So, I'm not just going to pan out for the offense totally, with the new look. But he's definitely talented. And they got solid running game. And they were fun. They scored 30-plus points a game. Their offense is very capable. I mean, especially when you get them up against lower level tier. The thing I used to like about getting involved with Arkansas is they were always like an upset-minded team when they were playing these bigger, especially when they play like Bama. They seem to always play them tough. But anyways, when they're playing, they're playing the lower level teams. They just kind of have their way with them. But when they play the big name teams, they seem to compete. So this is a team that always is in the game in my book. So I think it's going to be one of the value plays. Offensively, the jury's going to be out for me right now. I got to see what Enos brings to the table and just kind of do a little bit more homework on this offense right now. The jury's out for me on the offense right now, but they're definitely talented. They still got playmakers, so I'm going to see how it's going to play in Enos's scheme.
Well, with the running kind of being led by the RPO system and Jefferson using his feet, they'll run the ball decent. They're bringing back a solid O-line. But on defense, let's jump over to defense, because on defense, they bring in a new DC, Travis Williams, and they also have a co-DC, Marcus Wedson. So the defense is where they needed a lot of help last year. And they're making advances towards doing what they need to do on defense. So they brought in quite a few players over here. Last year, the defense were 101, ranked number 101 points per game, number 99 defending the run, and number 129 passing. So a lot of work to do on the defense. The offense can kind of speak for itself. They'll definitely have to keep the ball and in possession more on offense to give the defense a chance to get their legs under them. But it's just they need some talent to emerge out of this defense, basically.
Well, with those defensive numbers they gave up last year and the way the offense, operated, they were always a good over type team to play. So we'll see if that continues this year. But if they make the defensive adjustments and they slow the offense down, maybe early looks for unders might be a good look for this team.
Yeah, I had the opposite. I had the overs because I consider that Jefferson's gonna put the ball in the end zone, but I don't think they're gonna put this defense back together. I mean, it's too much movement going on. You got new coaching, new scheme. You got all these transfer players coming in. It's not like basketball. It doesn't always take a little time for it to gel. Sometimes they can hit the ground running, but these guys got a pretty tough schedule. They play some big games, and it's going to be tough. So I think that they're going to have to try to outscore opponents to be able to win, because that defense, even if you can't go from 121 to, top 10 in 1 year. So even if they fall ranked, in the 50s or something, do a better job, defending the run and the pass, that could be good, but that's not always even good enough to contend at a high level. And they're in the SEC. These teams are good this year, so they got a lot of opponents that they got to face. Like I said in the other video, which now we in the right video, that they got to face BYU, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and then Alabama all in a row. And they got to play at Florida. And you cannot count out Florida this year because Napier is doing a decent job over there. So what you think about it overall and on the defense, Big Ragu?
Yeah, like I said, with the defense, that was their biggest problem last year was, big chunk plays, yardage, score. all aspects of defense. Just they were one of these teams like they started out hot and then they played it. Like I said, they played a tough team, a little bit tougher, but then they'd have those big letdown spots too. So and that was attributed to the defense, definitely not the offense. So, I mean, even if they make, if they improve the defense, let's say they jump from the 120 spot to like say the 60, 50 spot, that's a big improvement in 1 year. We always got to put them numbers against, the numbers of the line that we're looking at too. So, and when we start doing the breakdowns of those, that plays out different. So I think they'll be improved. A lot of moving pieces, like you said, but they should make some improvements according to what I've read. So we'll see how that plays out.
Well, let's take a look at what they got them at the win total. They got 6.5 on my preview. Earlier, I had under 6.5, and I'm still there on the under 16.5. It's at plus money. If Jefferson goes down, this team, it may get even worse than that. But I like the under 6.5 for Arkansas. Here's a quick peek at the schedule. They're coming in: Mercer, winnable; Tulane, winnable; Georgia Tech, winnable; Alabama, not so much; LSU, not so much; Arkansas, not so much. How do you get to play? How do you get up to play at Auburn? Oh, this is the wrong schedule. I do apologize. I am human, but I got the wrong schedule on that one. But like I said, under 6.5. I don't got the schedule on me right now, but it has the wrong one there. But any last remarks on Arkansas? We went over it. I'm not perfect, people, but
it ain't no big deal. It ain't no big deal. Just they'll be. I think they're going to kind of be like they were last year, with hopefully a little bit of improvement on the defensive side, and we might trade something here. We might trade a little bit of defense for a little less offense. But like you said, you seem to think that they're going to push the ball down the field like they've been in the past, and I hope they do, but we'll see what happens. So I think that's going to be the trade-off. Maybe a little bit more on the offensive side, on the defense. And it should have pretty close to the same result as they won like 6 games last year, I think, regular season. So and the number 6.5. So I think we see a similar season for Pittman this year, like we did last year.
Yeah. I think if you run this back and listen to the whole thing, basically all we said in the whole thing is it's pretty much going to be the same this year.
Yeah.
But let's take another trip up out of here. We're gonna go a little closer to the river. Give me some riverboat money ready. And let me see here. Here we go.
Rebels.
The Rebels. Ole Miss. Now, that's the wrong one. Let's go straight into this one. Our guy, Crazy Lane. To me, that's what I'm calling him. Crazy Lane nowadays. He's a wild guy, man. 25 transfers this year. What else can you say? 8-5 last year. Got off to a good start. Somewhere just went flat in the season. And also was 4-4 in conference. But he's a guy that's constantly talked about for trying to get the next big job somewhere else. But throughout all the charades of the coaching thing, he stayed right here at Mississippi for his 4th year, where he's 23-13. He's 14-5 at home. He protects the house. He's 7-6 on the road. He competes on the road. This year, he's returning 9 on offense, 7 on defense. Why do you still need 25 transfer lane? Talk to me, big ball, big ragu.
Well, we used to have a guy we used to call the Riverboat Gambler, Les Miles. This is the guy now. He's the Riverboat Gambler. This guy right here for sure, because he's always spinning his wheels. He's always trying to make a deal. This guy, I love it. I mean, he's an exciting coach to kind of, if you're a sports gambler, this is the guy that you want to, go against and go with every week, because he's always scheming and always got something in the pot cooking. So, yeah, I mean, why would he do it? Because he wants to put the best product on the field. He wants to compete. he wants to do it week in, week out. And I always like to, I admire him because he never sits still. He's always got it going on. So yeah, I mean, when he had Corral, that was like his ace in the hole, so to speak. So now he's kind of, he's a great quarterback's offensive mind. He always have things ready. We thought that initially when he got to Mississippi, their defense was like when you and I started doing the shows. He was really focused on defense, but now I think he's got the defensive things figured out. But offensively now he's always grinding at the axe on the offensive side. And I think they'll be good this year. I think what he's got a West Coast guy, Jackson Dart, right? That's going to be his guy this year. I think he's a capable quarterback. He's the guy now. So I think he's talented, and he's probably not the top level guy, but he's a guy that's going to compete week in, week out, and make plays. So I'm excited to see what this Rebel team puts on the field on the offensive side.
Yeah, I mean, on the offensive side, last year they were 35 in points per game. They were number 2 in rushing, and they were number 56 in passing. And I made some good money early in the season taking the under with those guys because although Kiffin has this score mentality throughout the years, he was actually getting his money on the ground, so it was taking more time. So unders came in early, but later on in the season when the defense slipped, game started getting out of hand. They have to start playing from behind. But yeah, Jackson Dart hasn't won the job 100%. The depth of the QBs is going to play his part at some point in time. At running back, a lot of potential over there. But returning 4 offensive linemen, that could be huge for anybody. Jackson Dart, whoever's back there. And watch for the tight end play in this one. One of the co-offensive coordinators, Charlie Wise and John David Baker, they got a sweet spot for tight end. So watch for some tight end play over there. And that's all I had on the offense over here at Ole Miss. How about you, Big Ravy?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, this is all scheme play for talent-wise. I think they're talented. Receivers, he'll have good ones there. Mingo is a good one. And he's got the transfer Malik Heath. He's a pretty solid receiver. He's had some big games against Bama and LSU. I'll look for him to put a good product on the field there. So I think they're going to be ultra talented on offense. I really do. I think we'll still see those 30-point games from these guys consistently. So I don't think offense is going to be the issue for them this year.
Well, it generally hasn't been a thing. Lane Kiffin's been called in to help out some offense. He has some Alabama background, some SC background. Oh, yeah. So
30+ points a game for sure.
Yeah, but defense is where the problems lie, as they were points per game 63, defending the run 91, defending the pass 60. This year he brings in a couple transfers. Like I said, 25 transfers in total, but these are talented. Kari Coleman and Asheen Young. They come in to help on the back end. You could breathe some D-line nowadays, but D-line kind of comes down to depth. So I don't know. He has his work cut out for him. What can we say? We don't know how these guys are going to merge on the field with each other. It's just something we have to watch and see as far as how the defenses matches up with Lane Kiffin offense, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, they did bring in Pete Golden from Bama for defense, so that should help things out for them. And I think they'll improve defensively this year.
Yeah. And on the schedule, let's take a look at that. Well, let's first take a look at the win total. Win total is 7.5. Another one of those ones that is right near the mark, considering they have to play. They have to go to Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, Georgia, Texas A&M. So but as we go through this, it's tough. It's tough in the SEC. It's just tough. So yeah, they all gonna have to go through some changes and some tough teams to be elite. But the fact that we're like the number 5 team so far within the SEC, and we're still pulling out some type of potential to either beat the bigger teams or have a extraordinary season with all of these teams over here in the SEC.
Yeah, when you start getting these middle teams like this, and you get like, bowl eligibility is 6 games, as we know, but when you're a 5th ranked team and you get 8 wins, you're just like 2 wins away from like playoff contention. So that just goes to show you how competitive it is. But are you going to get that 8th win or that 9th win? Probably not. You'll probably get 7 or 8. 7 for sure. I can see 7 wins here, but that 7.5, 8 win is the question mark. Where's it going to come from? Is it going to come from an A&M game? Is it going to come from Arkansas? Or is it going? It's not going to come from Georgia, probably, and it's not going to come from LSU. So and it's not going to come from Bama. So here you go. You got to win one of those other marginal games. A&M. Is probably Vanderbilt, that's probably going to be a win, without that. So, and then you always have that end of the year game, which is always, it seems that it always comes out of that last game where you have the rivalry game. That's the game that kind of puts you over the hump. So, I play Mississippi State. So either Georgia, if they're going to get 8, they're going to get over the hump. They're going to have to beat Mississippi State, and they're going to have to beat Arkansas. That's the only way it happens.
Now, the exciting thing about their schedule is that they got 8 home games this year. So that should help out a lot because they're going to be seeing who is this? Georgia Tech, LSU at home, Arkansas at home, Vandy at home, Texas A&M at home, Louisiana Monroe at home. So
they're going to have to win 2 out of. They're going to have to either beat Arkansas, 2 out of these 3 to get over the hump. They're going to have to beat Arkansas, A&M, and Miss State. 2 out of those 3. Those are the 3 games. They're going to have to win 2 of those, and if they do that, I predict they'll win the 7.5 game. If they don't, under.
Under's where the money at. Under's where the money at. But I'm not a big futures betting guy, but yeah, under's where the money at if you're gonna do it. Let's take another trip. We're gonna stay inside the same state and just slide over it. Now, this right here is a very interesting team this year, considering the passing of Mike Leach. And it was another coach that had passed last year as well. I can't remember exactly. It was one of the player coaches or something. But so a lot going on over here. These type of teams can get up and play for this type of stuff. I'm sure some of these games are going to have tributes or all kinds of stuff going on. So it's going to be a tricky team to bet on, I would say, overall, considering all the changes and the turmoil that happened over here. Now, they bring in first-year coach Zach Arnett. Last year, they was 9-4, 4-4 in the conference. Basically, his first year here, he's getting back. Well, it's not his first year here, but his first year as head coach. He was actually
interim.
Yeah, interim coach that and that plays right along into the whole thing of the coaches, the players and stuff feeling some type of way. That guy came in, won the bowl game, and it's one of those spots. We've seen this a bunch of times in college football. Doesn't work, not at a high rate, but they'll beat a big team or something. You don't know what can happen with this type of setup right here. They get 8 on offense, 4 on defense, and he picks up 11 transfers this year. Let's try to jump right. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. We're going to jump right over into the offense right here. So points per game last year, they ranked 47. Running the ball, they were 128. And passing the ball, they were 11. This year, they returned Will Rogers. He's Phil Steele's number 58 quarterback. But they also have a new offensive look with the offensive coordinator, Kevin Barbay, who came from App State. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough right here. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen, Big Regular?
Oh, man. I got to retract something I said earlier when I was talking about the player that played for Alabama, Nathaniel Watson. It wasn't Alabama, it was Mississippi State. So
State.
the kid from Alabama, yeah, my bad on that one, guys. I apologize for that. The kid from Alabama, his name was Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's my favorite name in college football. But he was the guy that was a DB. The guy that plays for Mississippi State, that was the guy I was talking about on the Alabama side. It was Nathaniel Watson.
Nathaniel
He's a
Watson.
stud. He's a stud. That's the kid. I apologize for that earlier, guys. But
Yeah, I
anyways,
got him right there in the
yeah,
middle.
that's
Nathaniel
number
Watson,
14.
middle
Yeah,
linebacker.
middle linebacker. I was calling him a DB. He's the guy. He was the guy that I was talking about earlier. But anyways, to get back on track with the with what's going on fully with the squad here. Yeah, I mean, they're picking up the pieces from last year with Leach. Like big shoes to fill, and now like you said, we've seen it happen before in college football where these coaches have kind of stepped into those type roles, and he's just got to kind of pick up. I mean, Will Rogers, he's the guy. He's the guy that's going to guide the ship. He's a Heisman type candidate quarterback, and I think if with Barbary coming in, from App State, we know what they did at App State with that offense. With McCall over there, he had a nice look, with that offensive program. Whether that translates in the SEC that's a big jump for him also, but he's probably going to figure things out. So I expect them to be a little bit down. I hope Will Rogers has a good solid year. I think they're going to have to rely on the running game a lot to help him out, to kind of get things going there. But overall, I think, they're probably going to be kind of like, where Mississippi's at. They're going to be in that same boat with a little less potency on the offense, but a little bit better defensively over here. This team is built well defensively, so I think that's going to help support the offense. And like I say, watch this kid Watson. He's a special player, so he'll be all over the field. He'll be playing on Sundays. So I think they're going to have their work cut out for him offensively, with the new OC. But they'll establish things. It might take them a little bit. I mean, they have a pretty decent first couple of games to get going. Then they hit, like we say, the meat and potatoes. You got LSU, South Carolina, Alabama. It's going to be tough sledding there. And then they catch a little bit of a break there, and then towards the end of the season, they might catch somewhat of a little bit of break, but not much. But anyways, early on, the first couple games, they'll get to figure things out, and then it gets a little tough, and then they catch a little breather, and it gets tough again. So we'll see. I think defensively it'll be okay. Offensively, they're gonna be up against it just a little bit early on, just to figure things out.
Yeah, Zach basically was the defensive coordinator. He moves over to head coach. Moves the linebacker coach, Matt Brock, first time coaching over as a defensive coordinator. So that's going to be exciting, but they only be turning 4, so that's weird. Plus 11 transfers to fill in some shoes. So it's going to be, like you said, a great defense over there, but we don't really know what the offense is because not only are they moving over to a new offensive coordinator, I mean, they're moving over to a whole system. And not only that, Mike Leach had a complex system. He was one of those like contemporary coach. I'm pretty sure the recruitment that's there doesn't align with the offense that they're going to be playing. You're going to go from because Mike Leach was kind of a pass first guy. So now you got your offensive line going from pass first to run blocking. So it's, that's a whole different approach towards doing things. So that's going to be tough for him. And this is the team that has the 8 home games for the season, although they do have to see LSU, Bama, Arkansas, Texas A&M, and even South Carolina could give these guys problems. So, like I said, the work is cut out for Mississippi State. My betting tip on this one is look for the under in this one. They're going to be relying on the defense, going to be a slow developing offense. Like they said, they're going from pass first to run first. So unders, we should be able to slide in there this year. And they're going at 6.5 wins. For some weird reason, I think they could do it. You're going to get some type of energy out of them with the 8 home games. Mike Leach being gone, these guys knew this guy. We might get a couple wins in there that we weren't expecting. They playing Southeastern Louisiana, they could do that. Arizona, they could do that. LSU, even though it looks like it could be a tough game and they may be outmatched, but the coaching, how does Kelly prepare for this? This is, last year Kelly was in their shoes and was the unknown coach. Now Zach Grenett is the unknown coach on what he's going to do. So that gives them an option of maybe spoiling it for LSU. I don't think they can spoil it for Bama, but they've been in the past able to give them problems. They got a win versus Western Michigan. We spoke about Arkansas, so they're about neck and neck. They got a possible win right there. Auburn's going to be in the down season. That's another possible win. They rank right along with Kentucky, and they play them at home. That's a possible win. Texas A&M, they'll play them at the tail end of the season. We'll know if Texas A&M is real or not. So if Texas A&M is real, they'll probably lose. But if Texas A&M doesn't do that with all that experience, then it could play down a little right there. And then they got a chance to win Southern Miss, and those are in-home rivalries. They got a chance to win all those too. So I think 6.5 is a short number, and I think Mississippi State might be able to get over that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to beat Mississippi on that Thursday Thanksgiving. That's Thanksgiving, by the way, too. They're gonna have to beat Mississippi that game, and they're gonna have to steal one from either A&M or South Carolina on the road. They do that.
Yeah.
Count the money.
Yep. But let's go ahead and take another trip. It's time to get out of here. And this is the last team right here, over here on the what is this? The west side of the conference. It gets so confusing with these conferences and what side is what side, but they are what they are. So let's go. You freeze last year, 5-7, 2-6 in the conference. That first year over here for him, he's returning 8 on offense, 9 on defense, and he stacks it with 20 transfers. What do you think of Hugh Freeze? Let him know what you know about this guy and where you think he's going to take this team.
Well, if those of you that follow SEC football know about Hugh Freeze, he's got a storied past over at Ole Miss, and then he kind of laid low for a little bit. Then he shows up at Liberty, puts that program on the map, and does a bang-up job there with the offense. He knows how to win in the SEC. He knows about the SEC, so it's almost, I'm not going to call it a homecoming per se. I know the Auburn Tiger fans are really excited about this guy to have him there, but like I say, he's got a checkered past. But the guy knows how to win in the SEC, and Harsin just didn't get it in the SEC. So this is his replacement, and I think they got the right guy. So I'm glad for the Auburn Tiger fans, because now they'll have something to cheer about. They had 3 years of misery. It's things are looking sunny up in Tigerland right now for them with this coach. So I like him as a head football coach in that spot.
Well, he gets some returners back, and he's going to be having Robbie Ashford at quarterback, Jacquez Hunter running back, Robbie Johnson's out there. He's a great receiver out there for some talent out there to catch the ball. Issues on the offensive line. The offensive line is basically in a rebuild with a couple of transfers and stuff like that. But the offensive line did a good last year against running the ball and not so well passing the ball. Number 90 in points per game, not too good. But like you said, they have the potential to put together. But I just don't think this is the year. This is not the year to do it right here. They had bad weather for the spring game. They didn't get to play their spring game. Some exciting points about him was coming over here, Hugh Freeze. He, if you guys remember Cadillac Williams, the running back, he's going to be the associate head coach and running back coach. So it's going to be interesting to see how Hugh Freeze put this together. Like you said, Auburn fans don't run to the ticket counter yet. Let this thing come together and see what we got going on.
Oh yeah, it's going to definitely be a work in progress. I mean, TJ Finley, the former LSU QB, that's who he's going to have taking the snaps for him. They've always had Auburn traditionally has always had a solid running game. They've always had NFL talent running back. So I'm sure, we're going to see him go back to that because he knows he's going to need that in the SEC. He's not going to, he's not an air raid guy, even though he can develop that type of offense. But I don't think they're built that way right now, like you said. So I think they're going to it's going to be developmental. So it's going to be a first year thing. And I really think they're going to underperform this season on the offensive side of the ball. I really do. So we'll talk a bit later on when we break down the schedule. But offensively speaking, with Freeze coming in, like I said, work in progress. And, there's going to be sunnier days ahead for this squad here. But, they got to start somewhere, and this is the starting point for them.
Yeah, that's how I kind of see it too. And, if we go back to Harsin last year, I cashed that because of the drama last year with Harsin.
Yeah, you preached that all year. All year.
It just got worse and worse last year with that situation. And I think that some of that's going to have a trickle down effect coming into this first year right here. And, it's going to be tough. They do return some on defense, but they did have to go plug and play some transfers as well. So we're going to have to see, the jury's going to have to see what we actually get out of that defense that didn't perform well last year. So we'll have to, they already have the odds against them right there. They didn't get a spring game. They got a lot of moving parts going on offense. The offensive line is a rebuild. But if you look at the schedule, they got some deception here. This is where we make our money. They could go 3-0. Well, that's too small. Let me bring it up. I can't even see that. I think it's UMass first.
Yeah, UMass, California, Samford, UMass is the first game. That's a winnable game, right?
Yeah, if they could get them first three, they could look good going into the season. It's UMass, Cal, and what was the third one? Samford?
Samford, yeah. That's a small school. And then they got A&M at A&M. And after that, they come home and play Georgia. Then they take a break. Then they go on the road and play LSU. So it could be smack city smack, A&M, Georgia, LSU. Then they play then they get a bye week. It says a bye, but that doesn't look like it does. They say they play Mississippi off a bye, but they got it 14th and 21st, so I don't know what that's all about. But anyways, Mississippi, then Mississippi State, then both home games. Then they go on the road to take Vanderbilt, on the road again at Arkansas. Then they come home and play New Mexico State before they play Alabama. So that's no easy sledding for them. So probably 3-4 wins max for this team this year, possibly. I don't know. But here's the thing. We talked about OCs and DCs. Their offensive coordinators is former Tulsa head coach Philip Montgomery. And then they brought over, which I like this hire here, they got Ron Roberts, who was Baylor's defensive coordinator. And, Baylor had a pretty good defense. I like the way they played ball over there in Texas. And I'm sure Dabby knows about the DC over there too. But so new DC, all new moving pieces for the squad, all new head coach, DC, the whole nine, revamped offense, revamped defense. Tough sledding here. So what's their win total? Is it 3.5? Oh, 6.5. Oh, shit, that's a lot. Under, baby.
Under. That's where you get it right there. And just a note, because I'm gonna come back and me, I always clip these little jots that I do right here. I'm gonna clip this one right here because I know it's gonna come true. Look for them to come out and go 3-0. Look for Alabama people, Auburn fans and stuff to go crazy like Hugh Freeze is back and blah 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 blah, and be right there when they start falling downhill with your bets. And
I'm gonna say 4 wins for them.
Yeah, 4 wins is probably after that 3 is gonna be tough, but they're gonna look like a shining star after that 3 because nobody's gonna know the backstory that they hadn't played anybody. but they're gonna be looking like Auburn's back. They're in contentions. Hugh Freeze is here making a difference, and that's where you start betting against them.
I say if they win 5 games, that's a successful season. First year coach would.
It would be. It would be. Generally, it would be. So I don't know where they got 6.5 from. That's in the words of Mike Tyson, that's ludicrous. But let's switch over. We made it all the way through that side of the conference. Let me get this over to the other side. SEC East. Right? Switch it up a little bit for the SEC East. As we jump over here, let's jump on a plane. These are not in no particular order. I'm going to tell y'all now that it has nothing to do with the ranking of the teams or any of that. You know, it's just how I was able to cram it in my schedule to get it together to present to you guys. So let's jump into the first. Josh Heupel, this guy has been amazing. 3rd year here. He's 18-8. He's 12-3 at home, 5-4 on the road. I mean, he's just climbing the charts. He's only returning 5 on offense, but offense is what he does. He's getting 7 on defense, 10 transfers. I don't know what else I can say about this guy, but great coach. Has a lot of offer for Tennessee looking forward. What do you think, Big Ragu?
Yeah, this guy is impressive with what he does with the talent that he recruits and brings on board quick. I mean, he's an up-tempo coach, and he brings his offenses up to speed, up-tempo. Like, that's how quick he transforms his offenses from one offense to the next. You know, just amazing what he did with Hendon Hooker from Virginia Tech transfer, right? Now he gets another one. But yeah, he's been pretty spot on with what he's wanting to do and how quick he's made it happen. You know, he's definitely a threat in the SEC East here with what he does. And when I say a threat, you know, because you always got the king of the mountain sitting up there, Georgia. But if there's one team in the East that's going to be able to knock him down, Tennessee's the team.
That's what's up. And let's take a look at the offense. I can't see hardly none, but they were points per game. They were number 1 last year. They were number 20 on the ground, and they bring back some good talent. They got Milton here. He's going to be a stud. It's not much you can really say about the defense over here. I mean, about the offense over here at Tennessee. Heupel's going to get it together. That's all I can tell you. At the end of the day, he's going to make it fit, and that's what he does all season. Just, you know, anytime you're relying on your offense like that, you know, you got to rely on defense as well. So when the offense doesn't do so well and the defense left out there a little longer, they were taken advantage of. But when they were able to keep the balance and keep the foot on the gas, they were able to control a lot of games. Very high-scoring team right here. Like one of those ones you bet on because you can't get out of the fact that it's a high-scoring team.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they did lose their number 1 receiver, but they brought over, and this guy's is going to be a beast. Remember I told you I talk about players? So here's the 3rd player I'm going to talk about in the SEC. His name is Brew McCoy. He's a USC transfer. And this kid's going to light up the field this year for Tennessee. He'll be playing on Sundays. And he's going to be a reason why, you know, how they're going to get this team gelled quickly on the offense. They did lose 2 running backs in the transfer portal because I know running game is not a big part of Tennessee's offense because they're pass first, you know, with Heupel. He's the new air raid guy, right? So, and he's always been that way. But this kid here he's gonna have big numbers for Tennessee going forward. Now, the running game, you know, they lost the 2 top rushers, Jalen Wright, who was like a freshman, and they're going to have to replace him, which are going to go back on the depth chart and look who they got there. But yeah, they're going to be a pass first type offense like they were last year. And Milton, who's the transfer from Michigan, I believe, right? Joe Milton, the quarterback. He'll fit into his system nice because he's almost. I'm not going to call him Hendon Hooker light or dark. He's just one of these type of players that's going to kind of fit into the offensive scheme that he likes to run. So I see just as I'm not going to call it a reload. I'm going to call it a rewire because both of these guys they're going to perform very well for him. And I think that's going to be the key to their game. Now, if we lose them, if Milton goes down, like Hooker, I think they lost Hooker one time last year, kind of jolted the system a little bit. But if he goes down, they're gonna be in a little bit of trouble. But this kid's gonna be in the Heisman mix too because the offensive scheme he's gonna be put in. Watch Milton's numbers go up. Well, that's going to be the tandem to watching college football this year. You're going to see a lot of highlight films on these two kids.
Absolutely. And then taking a look at the defense is coming back with a lot more experience. Last year, they were number 30 in points per game, number 22 in defending the run, but just couldn't defend the pass as they wanted to. So I'm sure we're going to plug and play some players over there. And the experience on its own of these players returning on defense, getting 7 on defense, is going to be a good help to defense. And if we could get over, like you said, the quarterback going down last year and the defense folding late for Tennessee, we would have a different result of Tennessee last year as well.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at the schedule. Go ahead, Big Ragu. Let's take a look at their schedule real quick. The schedule is pretty good. I can see them going either 5-0 or 4-1 off top. They got Virginia, Austin Peay. They can contend with Florida for sure. UTSA, South Carolina until they reach Texas A&M. And by the time they reach Texas A&M, we'll be right in the middle of knowing if Texas A&M is really back on the road or not. And if they're not, then they get that win. And they go looking into Alabama undefeated, looking like they can beat them again.
Yeah, that's a revenge game for Bama.
Definitely a revenge game for Bama. I mean, I expect Bama to win that game because they were a little disrespectful with the goalposts and all that stuff. But the main ones that they have to see is Texas A&M, Bama, and Georgia. So even if you count Bama and Georgia as a loss, this team can have a 10-win season easily.
Yeah. They got to be mindful of that game where I want to call it like a. Well, no, that's not going to be a look ahead because they'll be licking their wounds if they get beat by Bama. But they'll be playing Kentucky off a bye the following week too on the road, so that could be a little bit of a dangerous game. Betting spot wise, it could be a spot play for Kentucky. But that's the end of October. We got a ways to think about that one, but that could be a look ahead spot for them, possibly. Not a look ahead, but a tough spot off a loss. In college football, when these teams get beat, they don't bounce back. In a big way usually. So that could be a tough spot for them.
Especially nowadays.
If they come out of that game high and mighty, then it could have the opposite effect too. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
10 wins. 10 wins.
These kids nowadays, they'll be quick to grab their transfer papers. So when things get bad, they get up out of there. So that's how I look at it. But let's take a trip, keep this rolling, try to see if we can speed this up a little bit and come in under 2 hours. But it's all good. We're having fun.
We're going to chop up the videos anyway, right?
Yeah, we're going to chop them up anyway. So it's going to be 14 videos. But let's go to the next one. Shane Beamer, the light is on you. 8-5 last year, 4-4 in the conference. Third year here at I got Tennessee on there. See, I've been making mistakes.
Yeah,
South Carolina. 15-11, 10-4 at home. He's been getting it done. 4-6 on the road. Could be better, but it's not bad. He's returning 6 on offense, 4 on defense, and he keeps it decent. He brings in 9 transfers. I commend him for that. So looking good for South Carolina coming back into this year. This star quarterback, let's go right into the offense. Spencer Rattler. Everybody has big expectations after the last 3 games for him coming into this season. What do you think about that, Spencer Rattler? I thought he was kind of a bust for majority of the season. They said that towards the last games they changed the terminologies, and that's what allowed him to blossom a little bit. What you think?
Yeah, I was cheering for that kid. I really was, because I didn't like what they did to him when he was in Oklahoma. I mean, I know they had to win. They had to play their games. They had to coach their games the way they did. But it was a kind of a feel good story for him, because he was probably the best product of the portal last year for a team, to go up and grab a kid of that caliber for the Gamecocks, and they needed him too. They needed him bad. So I think they moved forward with him in that role. And I'll be cheering for the Gamecocks with him, because that's my second team right there, South Carolina. But anyways, I think he fits the bill there, very nicely for Beamer in that role, quarterback role. So yeah, and then Doty's not a bad backup too. He's a good number 2 to have. So I like that kid too. But Rattler, yeah, definitely, all systems go for Rattler in that role.
Well, he's getting a new offensive coordinator. Hopefully, to simplify the playbook and new offensive coordinator come together, and we can see his full potential. Because the one game when he really cut it up, I forgot who they were playing, but he really cut it up and let you see his real talent capability. And he's going to be right there with a solid line, solid running back. He's got some nice targets to throw to it. He's going to definitely need some talent to emerge on a high level for them to compete on a high level. But as far as winning,
Tennessee was that game. He lit up Tennessee.
That's when he lit up. Yeah, he sure did. And he did good. But the proof in the pudding is definitely going to be over on the defensive side. Last year, they're ranked number 92 in points per game, 117 rushing, and 47 in the pass. Now, in college football, the defense starts on the defensive line and the secondary. If you can get a tight secondary, you can win some games in college football. But in any game of football, you gotta tame down a team to run. You can't be so bad protecting the run that the team doesn't have a need to pass. And, that's where you lose right there. So they got a lot to work on. They're getting bigger as far as size. They got more depth. But like I said, they need to learn how to stop the run. In the secondary, they're going to plug and play some returners and some new talent as well out there in the secondary. So I don't know. I think the defense will be a step up from last year, or maybe 2 steps, but still not. It's in the SEC. I don't think they got the talent to compete too high at a level. But if they could slide in their conference at the number 3 spot or number 2 spot, that was an excellent year for them.
Well, I think they started a little slow last year, to be honest with you. I mean, they had the cupcake game against Georgia State, and then they lost to Arkansas and Georgia. But they did finish pretty strong. Like mid-pack, Kentucky was ranked 13. They beat them. Then they go out and beat A&M. Then they lose to Missouri. Then they beat Vandy. They lose to Florida. Then they take out Tennessee in that monster game, like you said he had. And then they beat Clemson. So Tennessee was ranked 5 and Clemson was ranked 7 when they beat them at the end of the year. And I guess that was the bowl game, right? Yeah. But yeah, I think those are springboard games for this team. But new OC, defensive improvements. Who knows? I'm not going to say the sky's the limit for them, but I think they'll have another solid year. I really do.
Yeah, I got them down as a team that we just have to watch and see how the team comes together. They play North Carolina, of course, Georgia, they get Tennessee, they get Florida, they get Texas A&M, and at the end of the season, they even get Clemson. So they got their work cut out for them. But, third year, 6-4, I'm going to give Shane Beamer to his 4th year to really compete at a high level. But this year, I think he shows some more peaks that he's going to be well.
Yeah, I agree. I
Win
call
total
that's
on
a
this
ball
one?
game. That's the rival game. I'm saying over the total for them. Over the total.
Yeah, I would say over too. I say over 7 wins, 7-8 wins to get them in a bowl, and it'll be a great season for them. But even with that 7-8 wins, that's going to also include a couple wins and some big games. So
yeah,
keep an eye out on South Carolina. We have to touch back up.
it ain't going to be easy. 8's tough in the SEC, but I think they clip it. I think they get there. They'll have to win. They'll have to really mind. They'll have to have an upset in there, and then North Carolina. They got the kid May, the Heisman Trophy quarterback. So that's going to give you a good measuring stick where they're
right
at
off the bat.
right off the bat. Right, they're going to play a tough North Carolina team early on, and then Furman, then Georgia. So we'll see those 2 games. Yeah, we'll see how they make out. And then Mississippi State, Tennessee, man, 3 out of 5 games, no joke for them.
Yeah. Well, let's hop in the air and jump over to the next one. Mark Stoops. He's a classic over here, 11-year vet, 66-59, 46-25 at home, 16-30 away. But he's returning 10. So he's supposed to know what to do with this team. Being he's been here long, all 10 is all his, 5 on defense and 14 transfers. So I guess he's giving it a good shot too as well with 14 transfers. What you think about Mark Stoops right here at this Kentucky spot?
Yeah, Mark Stoops is a good coach. He had to make some adjustments. Last year early on, they looked like they were going to do a lot of good things, and then the season kind of went a little bit south on him. But he's a quality football coach. He's I wouldn't call him like a super disciplinarian, but he's got his way of doing things. And I know he was on a hot seat a few years back, and then just kind of reeled off a bunch of wins. But yeah, I mean, he belongs. He's an SEC type football coach. He belongs there, and he always gets mid-grade talent, 4-star, 3-star recruits, and coaches those kids up. And he's got to do it again this year when we get into the player positions. We'll talk about who he's got to work with. But yeah, he's definitely a good football coach. I like old Stoops.
Yeah, I like Stoops, but the problem I have with Kentucky is they're one of those teams that always are hyped up a little bit too much at the beginning of the season. I think they still got a lot to show and tell in order for us to consider them as a true contender right here. On offense, they bring in who is this? Devin Larry.
Yeah, Devin Larry, the coach. He played at NC State, the quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy right there. We're going to have to see how he goes in. They have a strong running game with Ray Davis, another transfer they have coming over there, and a decent O-line going on over there. And the wide receiver spots, they got some returners and some recruits. So they got the tools that it takes. But look at what happened last year. 111 in points scored, rushing 98, passing 105. So a lot of damage to be fixed. Right here, Devin Leary's a quality quarterback, but he's not going to make that much of an impact on this offense right here. So, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna watch before I probably. I tell you the truth, I'll probably stay away from Kentucky games, but we'll see. You think you're gonna get involved in some of this Kentucky madness?
There'll be spots where I'll be involved with the squad for sure. I mean, Leary's a nice quarterback. He did a good job at NC State. He kind of made that. He was the guy that made NC State go for all those years. So I guess he's seen an opportunity to kind of maybe up his draft stock per se. To come over to Kentucky to play in the ACC, which I thought he would have been fine at over there at NC State. But he made the move. He did it for a reason. So yeah, I mean, there'll be some opportunities. They usually have pretty good running backs. Receiver cores usually, so what? Defensively, they're usually pretty sound. So, but yeah, their season came off the rails last year. They started out Cupcake City. They played Ohio, Miami O, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois, and then Florida. So they wound up going up 4-0 early, and then the wheels came off. They lost to Mississippi, South Carolina. They beat Mississippi State. Then they lost to Tennessee. They beat Missouri. Then lost to Vandy, Georgia, and Louisville down the stretch. No, I'm sorry, they beat Louisville, but I don't know what their win total set up. I'm going to guess because I haven't looked at theirs yet. But when you post it, we'll see. I probably won't play a future on them, but there'll be some spots. There'll probably be like, maybe Florida. Florida's looking down again. It's funny. They lost like 22 or 23 years in a row to Florida, and I think they won the last 3 out of 5. So they've been giving Florida fits lately. And our boy's going to be on the hot seat again. We'll talk about him. But, there'll be some opportunities to play on this team. There'll probably be road opportunities. Probably not. There'll probably be like road dog opportunities for us. Maybe I can see two or three spots during the season. For
there it is. You called it right there.
Maybe
you
2.
Called it road dogs. Road dogs. That's where it's at. Yeah, and the defense last year wasn't too shabby. 16 points a game, 54 defending the run, and number 7. And this year they come back a little more experienced, a little bigger, but just got to trim down the run a little bit more to make things happen right here. So, yeah, I agree with all you said. And the win total for this team is over under 7. I say it's doable. What you think?
Yeah, 7's going to be tough. But, yeah, early on they got 3 really easy games. And then Missouri homecoming, so that should be like 4. Then they could beat Louisville at the end of the season again. That's 5. So they got to get 2 out of Tennessee, Mississippi State, Alabama, Vanderbilt. They can win that game. So yeah, I mean 7's going to be right there. So they're going to have to beat. They're going to either have to beat South Carolina or Mississippi State to get there, and I think they can probably do that. So it'd be tough, but they got to win both of those games. One of those 2 wins, and they get over the hump.
Yeah, I think the books are right on the nail. It's going to land at 7.
Yeah, it could be a push. This could be a dead out push. Don't let the hook. The hook won't hurt you on this one. So you're gonna have to steal. You have to steal one on the road.
Yeah.
But hey, I did notice one thing I was reading about the defense. So basically, they only had like 5 starters return. Oh, in 21, that was my bad. So they should improve on defense too this year a little bit too. So I think offensively they'll probably be about the same. In defense, they'll probably make a little improvement here. So yeah, that's 7-8 wins. I see that for these guys again.
Let's keep it moving as we go on. Now, this is the one right here where I realized I was like, it's not very hard to cap the top teams because everything looks good. Kirby Smart, 8th year here at Georgia, 81-15, 37-4 at home, 26-4 away, getting 6 on offense, 7 on defense, only chose to get 4 transferred. He's living the life, right, Big Ragu?
Yeah, high and mighty right now for excuse me, for Kirby Smart. I mean, he's got that train rolling down the tracks pretty hard. But, when you're at the king of the mountain, somebody's always trying to knock you off. So, but good luck with it. It can be done. But, and like you said, with the portal systems and the transfers, they didn't use any. Just like Bama, they were like the top 2 not reaching into the portal. So that tells you there's depth, there's talent all over the field. And, the well-balanced teams, both sides. Defensively, their numbers are sick. So, I mean, just what can you say about Georgia? To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Beat the man. The only thing that you can really say about Georgia is, hey, we're not 100% sure what Carson Beck can do. That could be the Achilles heel at some point. But this guy, Brock Bowers, he's on his way to the NFL. Put anybody back there and just toss it up to him, and he'll take care of it. So they have some really elite athletes on Georgia. I'm just going to stroll through them. Like I said, it's not much to talk about. They're the best of the best. I can't say that there's too many flaws to their game. And then to add insult to injury, they pitch a schedule that's out of sight for this year. They open up against UT Martin. They play Ball State, South Carolina, UAB. That's 4-0 right there. Then they're gonna go into Auburn, a Kentucky that we just talked about, a Vanderbilt after that. They're undefeated to that point. They see Florida, they beat Florida. Then they go to Missouri. They don't even have to play Missouri at Missouri, so that won't be a problem. Ole Miss, that won't be a problem. Going into Tennessee is going to probably be the first game that's really going to be like, you got to think about this.
Yeah.
And then after that, they go to Georgia Tech. I mean, the path has been paid for a three-peat right here.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very favorable home schedule, a light like Auburn and Vanderbilt on the road, right? Tennessee, like you said, is going to be the tough nut to crack, and then Georgia Tech, which that's the rivalry game. So basically, you got one tough road game and everything else at home. And then Florida, Florida's a little down. From a gambling perspective, who knows what that number would be when they play the Gators at the end of October. So, but if we're just talking W's and L's, I mean, like you said, it looks like a pretty good path. Now, they did lose Stetson Bennett, which a lot of people always said, like he was kind of like like playing into the Saban type system where he wasn't the great quarterback, but he did get drafted in the NFL. Like he's a professional quarterback now. So I'm not hating on Bennett. I'm not hating on him at all. For the Georgia fans out there, I'm not hating on the kid. I think he overachieved a lot, but kudos to him for doing it. Well deserved. But now they got this kid coming up, and he played high school up in Jacksonville area. I think they had him rated like number 3 freshman rated quarterback. What the hell is his name now? I just lost it. I just lost it. It went right out the window, man. I apologize for that. But Carson Beck, there it is. Yeah, my son's father-in-law, he's a big Jacksonville guy. He's a big Jaguars fan, Bulldogs. He told me about this kid. He says, watch this kid perform. And I read good things about him in camp. They said he won the starting job. He's very poised, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. But he's going to be a plug-and-play type quarterback, just like Bennett was, so we'll see. And the running game is going to be solid. They're just solid all the way across the board. It's going to be hard
when your main duty is to hand the ball off as quarterback, then it allows you time to throw the ball well.
Yeah, right.
But let's get up out of there. Yeah, let's get up out of there, man. Like I said, it's not much to say about the good teams, but they're good. That's all we can say. So let's jump up out of there. We're going into the bottom 3 over here on this side of the SEC. We're going to go at Eli Drinkwitz, 4th year here, 17-19. He's slacking a little. 14-5 at home is respectable. 3-12 away. I'm gonna fade this guy on the road. He's 3-12 away. That's ridiculous. But 7 on offense, 8 on defense in his 4th year. That's always something that we know from all these shows with me. 4th year coaches, I love those, especially when they prepared. 7 on offense, 8 on defense. All of those are probably recruited by him, brought in by him, trained by him, and everything. And he has 11 transfers on top of that. And it's tough to play at Missouri for some odd reason for a lot of teams. So he has that as part of his advantage. He's opening up to a new offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore. After looking at this whole thing in a nutshell, this team is basically a Sun Belt and Mountain West mixture of coaches playing in the SEC. So it's kind of like the best they can bring from the smaller conferences over into the SEC, and they do a decent job at it. What you think about Eli?
That's a great analogy. That's a perfect analogy on that team, as far as the staff goes and what they're trying to accomplish. But, what they did do last year, I mean, their defense was pretty good. They had some quality wins. albeit they beat Vandy, South Carolina in conference, and Arkansas were their 3 wins. And then, they had 2 out of conference wins with Louisiana Tech and Abilene Christian and New Mexico State. So they did muster 6 wins up last season. And like I say, three of those wins, South Carolina, but 2, and that Gamecocks was on the road. So, but anyways, yeah, they're going to have to figure some things out on the offensive side. And I don't know if they're as talented. Obviously, they're not as talented as the bigger schools or the higher ranked schools, but defensively, they're up to the task, I think. So I think if they take a little small step forward, I'd be interested in maybe looking at their win total. I'm sure it's set pretty low, but I think you're going to have to coach these kids up to compete, with higher recruited level type kids, but not knocking Missouri because they, like I said, they compete, they play. And Drinkowitz is a quality coach too. We've seen what he's done at the lower levels. He's up against it at these with the bigger name schools, but they'll compete. They'll probably get 5-6 wins again this season, maybe 7. Who knows? But they're gonna need a little help there. But they did get help last year in those 2 wins with South Carolina and Arkansas. So if they achieve that again, if they get 6 wins, I'd be surprised. I probably got them pegged for 5 W's this year.
I got them painted for more than that. I'll show you when we go over the schedule. But let's take a quick look at that offense right there. Last year, 84 in points per game, 64 in rush, 93 in pass. Obviously need improvement at every level. They have Brady Cook there. Cook doesn't have it locked in, though. They brought in some guys to compete against him, so you could see him moving around in some quarterback spot. The running back situation is not – it's going to be by committee. It's no solid star out of there. And the wide receivers, they have a lot of experience over there and a lot of depth. But this offense is truly going to rely on breakout players. Like, we need somebody to come and show that they're going to be the top running back or wide receiver in the conference or something like that in order for this offense to flourish. But over to the defense. The defense was a lot better last year. Number 54 in points per game, number 31 against the run, number 43 against the pass. And a lot of those guys are coming back, 7 and 8 on defense. So a lot of those guys coming back, they're getting bigger, stronger. They're all way more experienced. And I think they got a good shot at beating some teams that, down the stretch there, just off of the continuity of them being together.
Yeah, you know what? Now I'm looking at the schedule. I might have to agree with you a little bit now. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like, wait a minute now. Let me pull back my punch here a little bit. But we'll see what that number is when you bring it up. But yeah, I agree. The defense is they touted good numbers. FBS numbers. You got 130 squads, and they're like in the 30s and the 40s. Pass and rush and that's good. There's a lot of good top tier. There's a lot of good offenses out there in college football, and this team kind of competes on the defensive side. So if they make a slight improvement on the offense, that might give them that extra win to kind of get over the hump there. But they're going to figure some things out, and they got transfers, on the linebackers and the D-backs and stuff like that. But we'll see how it pans out on the offense here for the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, so let's go through that over 6 games right here. So we got first 4 games are at home, starting with South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, who could be tough, Kansas State, who could be tough as well, but they definitely are equipped to beat those teams, a Memphis team, and then Vanderbilt. They could easily be 6-0 or 5-1 just coming out of that. They come out, they could lose to LSU, but they still got a chance against South Carolina. They could lose to Georgia. They could lose to Tennessee. They may have a chance against Florida. And what's that at the end? What's that last game? I can't see that.
Arkansas.
There goes your 7th or 8th win right there with Arkansas itself. So this team's going to come out. Another team you might want to bet on into the 5th game. And then after Vanderbilt, we got to bet against them. But I think their win total is 6.5. previously I looked at it and I felt like you, Big Ragu. I was at under 6.5, but as I cap deeper into this, I think you could get some money on the plus side, taking over 6.5. If you want to take a nice risky future, Missouri might be your team to take it. They've also been known to play very well at home. So
yeah,
there you go right there.
well, they did have a pretty good the key game, I think, early on for them, once they get past South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, this Kansas State game, they played them last year, and I guess they had won like 5 in a row, and then Kansas State beat them like 40-12 in Kansas in Manhattan. So now they're playing at home, and they've won like 13 straight non-conference games at home. So there you go.
Yep. Well, let's get up out of here and take another trip. We're down to our last 2 teams. We're barely under 2 hours. We're doing great. We thank everybody for hanging in there and listening to us. Like I said, it's going to be cut up, so you guys can go back and look at it piece by piece. I think we got some great information right here. I don't think nobody covered it as plain and simple as the boss and the sauce did so far with the SEC this year. So let's jump into this other team and take a quick break. We come hang out with the smart guys over here at Vanderbilt. Coach Clark Lee, 3rd year here in Vandy. He's already had some success. 7-17 doesn't look great, but it's good for Vandy. And 3-10 at home definitely needs a change. But 4-7 on the road for a team like Vandy is pretty good. But 7 on offense, 8 on defense. This guy's a product of Notre Dame, defensive coordinator over there for a while. So I guess he's used to dealing with these smart athletes and all this good stuff. But he's over here this year. He gave quite a scare to some teams last year with his quarterback, A.J. Swan, who's very talented. They got a couple players on this team that could be looking at the NFL. What you think about this Vandy coming in here?
Hey, they were one of my favorite teams last year because they had a real low win total. And I remember when we did our college football show with Ian and Connor, I made a futures bet on our first show of the season. I said, take Vandy over 2.5 wins because they're going to go in Hawaii, beat them, and they only got to win 2 out of the next 3 games, and they beat Northern Illinois. I forget who the other team was. Hell, by the 4th game, they had 3 wins. I said, cash the ticket.
Cash the ticket.
But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call them overachievers, but I think, they didn't give him credit they didn't think that Clark Lee was going to do the job that he did early on. And man, he got this team. He brought them together early. They were playing good football, and they played solid all season long. I mean, not the most talented team in the league, bottom SEC type team, but competed, played hard every week, and you got to attribute that to the coaching staff and getting these kids ready week in, week out. So I think they move forward off of that. I consider a successful season they had for a first-year coach last year. So I'm all in on Vanderbilt as far as coaching standpoints and player development. So yeah, I want to see this team do good. I like the coach.
Absolutely. I like what's going on right here too. Offense, like I said, AJ Sean coming back, running back. They got some talent over there, but just like a lot of other teams, they're gonna need a breakout star to go along with AJ Shaw. Like either somebody to throw it to or a running back that can pick up the load and let him come in and do what he does. And on defense, brought in a few 6 transfers over here to Vandy. They're smart guys. They're not going to flood it with transfers. Right. But they got to transfer them in the right spots to get something out of them this year. So, this team right here, a lot of SEC teams, they do well. It matters who they play outside the conference because usually they go outside the conference and they do well. So let's take a look at the win total. 3.5. They went up on you this year, Big Ragu. They caught you with your hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah, they got me. I made it happen. And I see they
and the 3.5 is juice too at -173. So I think they still can get over. I see 4 wins in the beginning. South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, Kansas State, and Memphis. They got a chance, and at least they can go at least 3-1 right there. I think. After that, it gets kind of cloudy, and I think they could pull off a fourth win somewhere in there, just like they did last year. One of those teams underestimate them, and they come in there and play tough and win the game. You know, you don't got to blow teams out every game. Sometimes you just got to manage the game well and have an opportunity to win the game in the fourth quarter, and that's what they did last year. Oh, this is the wrong schedule.
Yeah, you got Missouri. They play Hawaii game in the first opening again. That's going to be a revenge game for Hawaii, but they play them inland, not in Hawaii.
Yep. So there you go. I messed that up. That's mess up number 5, ladies and gentlemen. But 5 out of all of the 100 things that I had to do to put the show together, I think I'm doing good. It's okay.
It's all good. It's all good. But hey, and like you said, these guys are the Stanford east of the Mississippi. You know what I mean? These are all smart kids. Yeah. And that's why I think, you know, I attribute that to their success. I'm not saying football players are dumb, but these guys are paying attention, extra attention to the details of what the coaches tell them, how, you know, the game plan and the schemes and whatnot. So, you know, these guys are extra. Now, if there's ever a weak spot for the Vanderbilt team, it's on special teams because they've been ranked over the hundreds, like 113, 108, 118. So special teams is Achilles heels for these guys. It's always been that way. But maybe, you know, with even last year they were ranked like 113 overall out of 130. So, but like I say, I see more improvement on the horizon. And, you know, if they get 6 wins, man, I'd like to see this team go to a bowl game. I really would.
Oh, yeah. Send them to a bowl game with 6 wins. I'd love to see that as well. But let's take a trip on out of here to our last one. And we're right at the 2-hour mark. We're doing excellent, the professionals that we are. And in case you guys don't know and you're new to this channel, we've been doing this for a long time. So we know what we're doing. We got you here. 2 hours, both sides of the SEC. Who does that best? The boss in the sauce. Let's go. Bill Napier. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I'm gonna tell you, and it might hurt me, and it might be to my success, but yes, I'm gonna be biased for Bill Napier. I think he's just such a stand-up coach. He does a good job working with these kids. He has a good strategic plan. He knows what he's doing, man, and he could do something here at Florida. Florida wants to be strongly back in the contentions. They don't want to be we made it to a bowl game the team. They want to be what Georgia is right now on this side of the conference. So Billy Napier, second year, 6-7 last year, 5-2 at home, 1-3 away. 5-2 at home is protecting the house, and I respect that. He got 6 returning on offense, 5 on defense, and he brings in a nice little 10 transfers. Well, actually, I have 11 over here, but let's see what it looks like. Let's unroll it. What do you think about Bill Napier and what he did last year, coming into this year, second year here at Florida, Mr. Florida, Big Ragu, the sauce? Let them know what's up.
Hey, this college is 30 minutes up the street from where I live, basically. A little, maybe 45, depending on traffic. But yeah, Napier last year, I was high on Napier. You know what he did, how he brought a couple of the kids back from Louisiana. You know, he's a heavy run based coach. You know, he likes the running game, and I don't think it ticked off like it would have. He had liked it last year, so they had, it was a big adjustment. Not for him as a coach, but I think just kind of filling in the pieces. I don't think things went as planned from this year. I think this year will be a little better for him. So we probably find some value on the Gators this year, I would say, because they always have ultra talent. There's always talent all over the field for Florida. And I know Napier has done some good things. You know, he kind of passed. He should have been an SC coach when he was helping Saban out, but he passed to go to Louisiana. And now he's seen that opportunity to jump on the Florida job. So it's probably well-deserved for him. I don't think he attributed the success he wanted last season, but I think this year he'll probably take a step forward here. I want to say write the season off for him last year, but just all the things didn't kind of fall into place for him last year. I mean, not a total washout. You know, he still had what 6 wins last year, 2, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 wins. But the big one came early on against Utah, and I thought, hey man, this team's on track right off from get. You know, but then very spotty, very up and down season for them last year. But I think Napier, quality coach, quality guy, has a good scheme, good game plan, and I look for the defense to be solid. I think they get back to basics with the running game this year.
Yeah, I think definitely the same thing. This guy's an offensive line type coach, so definitely he's going to establish the run. Last year he was 26 with the run, 90 with the pass, 61 with points per game. Now he brings in Graham Mertz from Wisconsin, which a lot of people, they don't have a lot of good things to say about Mertz. But I think in this offense, he might get to throw the ball and showcase a little more of his skills. He'll probably, because even though Napier is a run-first guy, he uses the run to open up the pass. So I think they should run the ball well, allow him to hit the defense when they're soft. So I think Mertz could emerge to be something we never seen him as at quarterback. And on the running back, they have one of your old favorites, ETN's brother, right? And then
Trevor,
they also have
he's a speedster too. Yeah, he's quality. He's a quality running back.
Yeah, so they have running back by committee with Montel Johnson, him, and then he also has a couple big wide receiver targets to throw to as well. So I think the offense will do good. They'll develop a little more, and they'll squeeze out a little better than last year. If they came in points per game at 60, I'm gonna say they bring it down. They'll be ranked somewhere in I'll say the 40s and 50s instead of the 60s this year on offense, and they'll be top tier running the ball. I believe it's going to rely on that pass.
Yeah, well, I mean they had Richardson last year. Was with the Colts, and he's going to be the Colts starting quarterback. So he was like an X factor type quarterback. You're not going to get that with Mertz, but I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think with Mertz, when he was at Wisconsin, he didn't have the talent around him to kind of produce, because they were like a run first offense. We know that for a fact for Wisconsin, but they're more tight end, run built. Here with Florida, I think the passing game is going to open up a little bit more, and we'll see if he can put his talents on display to kind of press the ball down the field and make those 10, 12, 15-yard short routes, and maybe some of those Florida talented receivers they have, maybe we'll see what kind of arm he's got and air it out 20-plus yards down the field.
Yep. And then over on the defensive side of things, where they're stacking it up in the front seven, the linemen, the defensive linemen are big. Like I see them at 320, couple 300-pounders and more at the defensive line position. So they loaded in the front half to try to slow down the run, which they need to do, because they're giving up. They're ranked number 95 with the rush, number 74 with the pass, and the secondary is very talented with some depth. So just going to need some fine coaching out of the defensive coordinator. Who is it? Austin Armstrong and Sean Spencer. So they have co-defensive coordinators. So two guys doing the work of one. I think they should be able to slim some of that down too this year and get a lot better on defense. And that's going to equate into some wins that they might not have got last year. It was about 2 games, I believe. One of them was a really fluke game. I can't remember what happened. Something stupid at the end that they lost one. So that team really should have had 8 wins last year, but they walked away with, I believe, 6. So I think they're going to get those 8 wins or maybe even more this year. And they could be a dark horse as well, just out of Napier's coaching style and the other teams having to adjust. So
they had Tennessee on the ropes last year.
Yeah, they had Tennessee on the ropes too.
Yeah, Tennessee, and then they lost to both Tennessee teams like they should have. They could have won those games. Vandy and Tennessee both beat them on the road last year. They were on the road last year. Florida was on the road, but they could have won both of those games. So 5.5 wins. I think I'm going to be on the over.
Yeah, I like the over in that one as well. Even if the quarterback doesn't work out for them, they still have enough running game to get 6 wins. I think 6 wins is probably like a mandatory staple for Billy Napier. I have to see if he ever had a season under 6 wins. But really good coach. They're gonna really get after it this year. They're gonna compete on a high level.
Good
Special teams too. He's a special team guy. Yeah, he has this guy Chris Couch, who they call the game changer at special teams.
Yeah, so they got good special teams for them, so they'll be right there. So, who's number one in special teams? FBS again. Close to Apple, didn't fall far from the tree. Beamer, South Carolina.
Sean Beamer, yeah. Yep. And they do have a tough schedule though. We're gonna see again with Utah opening up again. The proof is in the pudding. Sort of a revenge game with Tennessee. So it's gonna be a rocky mountain for them to climb. But I mean, they could do it. They're the team that could do it. He's a coach that could get it done. And I'm the biased bettor that's gonna back him on doing it.
Yeah, it almost has a mirror schedule last year, similar, very similar. Probably like 80% of the schedules like where they were last year. So there'll be some familiarity. They'll clean some stuff up, and then the stuff that they messed up on. I'm not cheering for the Gators. I've been cheering for them every time except for when they play Florida State. But usually us FSU fans, we're Gator haters, but I'm not a hater. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
There we go, all the time. But that's basically it for the SEC right here, Ragu. It was wonderful waking up this Saturday morning and getting this off my chest. I've been so bottled up with studying for the show and trying to get things together. And it just brings out a lot of excitement too, because I'm just so ready to get into the season, man. Let the people know how you feeling about the season coming and whatever you want to let them know before we get up out of here.
I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with you like going on 6 years now, and we haven't had the show consistently for a year, which we're going to do this year, but we've been doing some things that we've always, college football is our bread and butter. We love doing it, and we're looking forward to a good season, and wake up and tell everybody that we're back, and we'll be back every Saturday. We'll have the show times announced once the season started, but we're going to do a few more. We're going to do a couple more reviews, right, boss? On the
we're going to try to do as many reviews as we can do. Right. Hopefully, we can get through the Power Five, but we kind of pushing in. I don't want to rush it. The format we did today wasn't bad. We got done in 2 hours, so maybe if we can get another one in sometime this week, and maybe show back up next weekend. And then maybe a few more after that. But we're going to get some other people to come in with us on some of these other ones so we have a little more fun and try to spin the table a little bit faster with our breakdowns. But I think we did an awesome job today.
Great job.
I'm going to be happy to cut this up and put it back out there. And make sure you like and subscribe. Who-Bangin. We got so much content and great cappers out there. I mean, this is a double header today because Don Ricci had lighted up this morning. Be looking out for the live sweat on Tuesday. Those guys are going to be doing some things going into the NFL season. Watch out for Thursday night, the Fight Lounge right here. We got some UFC capping going on. Wham, he has already put out some stuff for the NFL preseason for the NFL. Go take a look at that as well. We're going to be coming on for NFL. We're going to be on Pub Sports, doing stuff with Jimmy the Bag. Just great people. And make sure we're going to set up the membership so everybody can join the team, enjoy the fun. And, we always got the best of gear. You know what I'm saying? We always got the best of gear.
Giveaways coming up too, right?
Yeah, we're going to have plenty of giveaways for some of our little weekly pick'ems and stuff like that. So stay tuned and tap into us, tell a friend, and let's just have some fun and make money, man. That's what we're here for.
That's what it's all about, man. Cashing them tickets.
So we're going to get out of here. We love y'all. We appreciate all of our Pacos. It was a ton of them in the chat. Too bad I couldn't focus on the chat.
Justin McAfee, Damon Santori, Dami Gunn, Paco Healy, Nasty Nate,
The list goes
Stay
on and
easy.
on.
Dabby Cab, you guys know who you are.
Yep. We appreciate y'all. Come back for some live stuff. Saturday morning, probably around 7:30, should be the Boss and the Sauce time. And we're going to have a new format with that too. Get you right to the goods and get you on your way so we can enjoy those games. Y'all be safe. We out.